Check 1, 2, check. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. The Coffee and Biscotti Show. I'm your host, Crew Mel Bellissimo. Today is Friday, June 17th, birthday edition of the Coffee and Biscotti Show, just past 12 o'clock. Am I excited or am I excited? Holy shitballs. It's gonna be a day, my friends. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that you are doing fantabulous. I'm feeling good. Somebody asked me today, so what are you gonna do for your birthday? I said, I went to the dentist and I got my teeth cleaned. And they said, really? Is that like a thing? I go, I don't know it's a thing, but I love going to get my teeth cleaned. I'm super excited today because, of course, I have completed 47 revolutions around the sun. Poutine Nation in the house. Thank you, my dear friend Josh. Listen, brother, I'm only sad for one reason, and I'll say this publicly. I'm only sad for one reason today. I'm sad, Josh, because you can't be with me because DJ Crew is in the house tonight. Kiko Sushi. 8 o'clock, I will be there having a wonderful dinner at Kiko Sushi on Preston. And then afterwards, they are closing the restaurant for yours truly. And DJ Crew's going with his equipment. He's going to spin some tunes tonight live from the nation's capital. It's going to be awesome. And the only thing that's missing is you, my friend, Josh Leslie. That's the only thing that's missing, brother. Holy shit. I mean, listen, I would do anything to have you here, you know. But I got your wonderful message late last night, and I know you're busy, but just know that in one of the sets that I do tonight, I'm going to be thinking of you, my friend, and having my famous cranberry and soda because you know I don't drink. But it's going to be awesome. I just wish you were there. Just know that you're in my thoughts, brother. Where to begin? Can I read it to you instead of like trying to pretend that I could remember everything that I wrote today? So here's the way it goes, my friends. Here's what I wrote. Here's my post for today. Of course, this was last night. So allow me the opportunity to read you a social media post that I wrote. Tomorrow, which is today, I complete 47 revolutions around the sun. This year has proven to be one of the most challenging years I have faced yet. Despite having many learning opportunities, there is much to be grateful for. As a father of a 4-year-old, I had one of the proudest moments of the year this past week, maybe of my life. Yesterday, my little boy Leonardo tied up his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu belt on his gi for the first time. And as a lifelong martial artist, I could not be more proud. I started the Wolf Pack, which started as a group of heart-centered businessmen, and am now ready to open it up to heart-centered business women. That's right. You heard it first, live on the Coffee and Biscotti Show. The Wolf Pack is going to both men and women. I think that it's time. It's time to open it up to everyone. So that's going to be the big push over the next coming weeks. The Chorus Life, of course, is a work in progress, but I'm pleased with the results my clients have had. I'm really feeling good about the clients that I've worked with this year. They have done some extraordinary things and overcome some dark and deep challenges, some childhood traumas, some family or ancestral, negative ancestral energies. Working for the SEAL team leaders has been a great experience as I have picked up more tools for my toolbox. In case you didn't know, my fine feathered friends, I am a facilitator for SEAL team leaders, which was founded by a former Navy SEAL team leader, Mr. Larry Yatch, and I was hired in December of 2021 to work as a facilitator. So I'm doing some work and working with corporate America and corporate Canada, facilitating workshops on things like responsibility and leadership and feedback and planning and all sorts of really, really, really interesting courses or workshops. And of course, I want to be super direct in thanking all the crew at Gracie Baja Ottawa East in Orleans here, as they have given me the opportunity to continue to share my passion for Muay Thai. Thank you to Pat Levine, Derek, and the rest of the crew there. Daniel-san, super, super great gym. If you are in the Ottawa area, specifically in the East End, you make sure, my friends, to look up Gracie Baja Ottawa East. They're an awesome school. They're killing it. What a great, great group of men and women. And of course, the children's program is doing awesome, which is really great. But most of all, my friends, I just want to thank each and every one of you. And of course, here we are in the Coffee and Biscotti show. Of all days, it falls on my birthday, and I couldn't be happier. There's always stuff. There's always stuff, my friends. Like, there's always shit going on. That Tuesday, I don't know if I broke it or if I broke my toes. I don't know. My foot is double the size of the other one. And, no injuries from Muay Thai, only from soccer. I played soccer on Tuesday, and holy shit, man, I've never run that much in 10 years. So I'm feeling a little bit of the, what I call the penguin walk. But it feels good. I feel alive, even with a half a broken foot. Yeah, Josh, I didn't tell you that one, brother. But or else things are good. I feel that the cloud has lifted. And I'll tell you this because I've struggled so much this year. It really has been a challenging year. And for all of you that are listening, either live or on the recorded version of this, I want you to take a moment and take an inventory of your life. We're almost halfway through 2022. So, take an inventory of the first half of this year. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me a little bit about some of the great things that have happened, some of your challenges. But most importantly, tell me what it is that you desire most out of your life. My friends, why do you think I became a clarity coach? Because in all the years of dealing with students, clients in Muay Thai, over the course of 25 years in my career as a martial artist, I've spoken to people, and you know what they've told me? Everything they don't like. Everything. But few could tell me the things that they love. And so my question to you is, if you believe in some sort of higher source, higher power, how is it going to help you if you don't even know what you want yourself? Take an inventory, my friends. Start getting clear on the things that you desire most, because you know what? You're worth it. I'm going to share with you a story. And the story is this. When I was teaching this class called Empower Thyself with this esoteric school I was studying with, we spoke a lot about what the SEAL team leaders call the standard of performance is for that class, in delivering that class. And one of them is to drop this seed of that you are a god or a goddess. And many people are going to say, Mel, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, okay, no problem. I get it. The thought that you think you're a god or a goddess is very foreign. So somebody gave me an analogy once, and I want to share this analogy with you. The analogy was, me and you, I'm looking at you, we're talking. And one of my dear friends, Susan B., who was on the show, bakes us an apple pie. That's right. A little shameless plug for Susan B. and Susan B. Weekend Pies here in Ottawa. She bakes us an apple pie. We're sitting down together. and I cut a piece and I put it aside. We're entrenched in a wonderful conversation, and about an hour later, you take the piece of the apple pie and you take a bite. And I ask you, what does that piece of apple pie taste like? And you're going to look at me with four eyes and you're going to say, duh, it tastes like an apple pie. And I'm going to say, excellent. And then I'm going to ask you, why? Why does that piece taste like an apple pie? And you're going to say, duh, because it comes from an apple pie. And I'm going to say, you're right. So let me ask you this question. If you come from whatever you call God, then what makes you think that she wouldn't put the God stuff in you? What makes you think that she would send you here without the God stuff in you? It's an impossibility, my friends. So I know, because I'm living it now, that things are difficult. This human experience is considered the densest part of our journey. 144,000 rays away from whatever you call God. And yet I look at you as you're listening to this, and I say to you, don't forget that you are a god or a goddess, that you have that energy within you. So let your light shine, my friends. Let your light shine, because you are worth it. And now it's about getting into the frequency, setting the energy so that you are in the energy of receiving. And in receiving, you must be clear on what it is that you desire most. If you've always said, when you looked up in the sky, I want money, then I would say to you, then the universe is giving you exactly what you asked for. The experience of wanting. And so if you don't have money, or the money that you desire, it's because you asked the universe the wrong way. Maybe you have to say, I am open to receiving financial abundance in my life. And get a number. Get specific. I am ready. I am open to receiving $10,000 a month ongoing for the rest of my life. Be specific, my friends. Be specific. And start with the words of creation that begin with three small letters, an I and an AM. I am. I figured it was my birthday, so I could preach a little bit today. I feel that this decade from 36 to 46 has been a bit of a shit show. And now that I've turned 47, I feel the energy shift. A couple days ago, we had the full moon, the strawberry full moon. Maybe you don't believe in astrology. Maybe you don't believe in this stuff. But can I be honest with you? If the moon changes the tide, and we're 75% water, or whatever the percentage is of water, then what makes you think that that wouldn't affect us? We've heard crazy stories of more births being born closer to the full moon. We've heard of more tragedy happening towards the full moon. There has to be something. So maybe this is an introduction for you to start looking at your life, looking at these things, because they do affect us. And so this morning, I got out my trusty journal right here, and I literally wrote everything that I am manifesting over the next 2 weeks in my journal. Because it's time. It's time to clear out this old energy and welcome the new energy in. And if it's your birthday, this is an opportunity for you to really start anew. Really change the frequency. So I hope, my friends, that if there's one thing that I said over the course of the last 15 minutes, that it went through your ear canal down into your heart, and you listened with your heart. I'm excited today because I got a young lady that I've had only a couple of conversations with. Yet another connection from the lifesaver, Sandra Mio. Sandra, you know how I feel about you. I love you dearly. Thank you so much for connecting me with all of these wonderful people. And today, on the birthday edition of the Coffee and Biscotti Show, we have an absolutely beautiful young lady who is coming to share her story. And if I'm not mistaken, my friends, this is the first time that she is going to do it publicly. And I'll tell you, my friends, here's how I want to set it up. If have you ever lived in maybe like a government housing, or have you ever lived in an area that they call the hood or the projects? Well, what kind of life happens there? What are some of the things that you see when you're growing up? I grew up in what used to be called jungle, which is in the North York area of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And it was an Ontario housing project. And there was lots of poverty there. And the stuff that you see for us is something that we call normal. But is it? Is it normal? The truth is, my friends, is that this is what happens in those little communities. We've heard the stories of many singers and rappers coming out of the hood and making something and doing something with their lives, and then going out and helping that same community that they grew up in. Well, today I have a young lady who's going to share her story. She's a mom, she's an entrepreneur, she's an author. And when I listened to her story the other day, I said, it's time for you to come out with this. My dear friend Don Lachance and Susan B always talk about their project that they're working on called Dare to be Vulnerable. And my good friend Don always says, when you're being vulnerable, you have to go first. So be vulnerable first. So today, this beautiful young woman has decided that it's time to open up her heart and share her incredible story with all of us today here on the Coffee and Biscotti Show. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, wherever you are in the world, get off of your comfortable seat and put your hands together for the very beautiful Nicole Recker.
Oh my. Oh, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And first of all, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm super excited that you're on the birthday edition of the Coffee and Biscotti Show.
Oh, what an honor. This is so fun. This is
Well,
so fun.
Nicole, I have to tell you that I'm really am very grateful that you've taken 90 minutes of your day. You're a mom, you've got a little one. You had to bring the little one, I think, next door or
Yeah,
something just
yeah,
to get the time to be
yeah,
able to do the show. I'm super grateful for that. But I have to tell you, like this is really exciting for me because a lot of times, um, and we all have stories,
yeah,
but how many of us really get the opportunity to share it?
yeah,
How many people get the opportunity? And I've said this before. And for anybody who knows somebody that has a great story about passion and transformation, anybody who's come to do this show has said at the end of 90 minutes that they've had what some might call a cathartic experience. And so having you, Nicole, come and do this is really so wonderful. I'm super honored that you've decided to come and join us today, and couldn't be on a better day. So, Nicole, let's start. Let's share with us a little bit about who this woman is. Talk to us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing and where you came from. Start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, before I do that, I want to say thank you to you and Sandra for giving me the opportunity to do this, because if you approached me maybe 2 months ago, I probably wouldn't have said yes, because of, like you shared, this is my first time publicly sharing my whole story. And one of the biggest things that always tripped me up was some of the things that you had said earlier in your talk. About, first of all, I was so inspired just by hearing what you had shared just this morning alone. So thank you. But like how we shared, you said that people who grew up in certain areas, they thought that this was normal. So I thought certain things that I have gone through was a normal experience for some people. So I didn't think that there was any room or space to really talk about it. That being said, I shared my experience in my very own first book this year. And it was through doing that, like how you said, it was a cathartic experience. It was through doing that that I understood how much power is in us believing in ourselves, just to have a little bit of courage to share our full story. So today I'm gonna hold on to that courage to be able to continue doing this. But yeah, so where I grew up, I'm originally born and raised from Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. And
Scarborough represent.
yeah, so it was a very rough area. It was Lawrence and Orton Park. So very similar to how you were explaining your kind of area of growing up as well. It was rough. It was a lot of poverty, a lot of people who were, I believe now looking back, just didn't know how to find themselves, didn't know how to belong. There was a lot of societal pressures in that neighborhood to be somebody that maybe they didn't want to be. They had to be that person. And it was very difficult to grow up in that area. There was some difficult things, but there was also some very beautiful things that came out of that space too. My parents have been married for 30 plus years now. I have a beautiful younger sister, and I have a son who has just turned 3. My high school sweetheart is now my husband. And my sister has a little boy who is my first nephew, Mason. So many beautiful things came out from that experience. And why I share that, what you're going to learn throughout me sharing, is that some of the most hardest things that have ever happened to us needed to happen in order to give us the most greatest things that we have to this day, or how we can show up today. So I'm forever grateful for all of my experiences. Some people may not feel that way when I'm going to share some of the things that I've been through, but I am. So we grew up in Scarborough for about the first 11 years of my life. My mom had an at-home daycare, and I was always around kids. I loved being around children. I loved the role of just kind of like leading people. I just loved it. And the community that we lived in, there was one street, and it was called Kirker Ave in Scarborough. And you would never believe that this beautiful place was in such a difficult area. So it was literally where we found so much of our family and friends that we have now. And he used to have block parties, he used to have food fights. It was such a magical experience. So not only did tragic events happen, but these beautiful things came to my life. And a lot of those people I still talk to today. And I also think that, like how you were mentioning earlier in the live, as that some of the things that we go through, yes, they are difficult, and yes, we may not know how to conversate them or speak about them. But through doing this, I've actually learned that there's so much power in our own voices, and there's so much power in our stories, and there's so much power in doing that, because when you do that, you actually create this space for other people to know that it's okay for them as well. So I hope when you listen to something that I say today, I hope that you feel some form of connection. I hope that you feel that your voice matters, your story matters, and yeah, just keep shining your light, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
The world is a very dark place, and I think that we just have to keep showing up as our most authentic selves. And sometimes that is, showing and expressing tears. I'm a very emotional person, so a I'll give you guys a heads up on that. But so some of the experiences that I have been through that changed and impacted my life was certain things like my mom taking the daycare kids to the Toronto Zoo, taking the public transit. And for example, there was two gentlemen arguing about something. And as soon as we stopped off of the bus, the other gentleman shot the other guy in front of all of the daycare kids at my mom's daycare.
Holy shit.
And some parts of this, I don't know how much I'm okay to share because I also am aware that there's people who are reading the book and I don't want to give away too many of the things that I've been through, but I'm just going to touch briefly on some of them. I hope I don't spoil too much for the reader, but these are life-changing experiences that caused, that's just one, but have caused fear and self-doubt. Like there's lots of things that small incidences can trigger you. I'm 31 years old. Another incident was there was a gentleman who one of my grade 5 teachers, he told me that if you're ever walking home and somebody jumps you, make sure you have a key in between your first and your second finger. I was 11 years old when they taught me that, 10 or 11 years old. There's certain things that I just feel some kids don't really need to know, but it was so interesting that that was something as a survival thing that I was taught, as opposed to, just making this thing known to harm people. It wasn't that, it was to protect my own being. There was also an incident when my mom was with her daycare kids. The one little girl had to go to the ER and I had to walk to school for the very first time. My parents did not know about this until I wrote my book, because I thought it was normal. I was walking to school and this old Cadillac pulled up beside me with 3 men in it. And the one jumped out and tried to get me in his car. And I ran so fast as my little feet could run. I was probably 7 or 8 years old. And I made it to the schoolyard. I snuck in the little pathway. And he said that today is your lucky day, tomorrow may not be that. I never spoke of it because I thought these were normal things. And it's so crazy to think now what I would say to my younger version of me, that these are not normal and that you deserve to tell your story. But also there was a lot of fear around these things. And then I was very badly bullied in school. It started with just like verbal bullying. And then my voice is even catching up to me. They're cracking up because this is nerve-wracking to share publicly. I was very badly bullied. And I eventually got to the point where I would just tell my mom that I was sick and I didn't want to go to school. I would have bruises on me. If I look back to some childhood pictures, I still see images of me with bruises. And I mean, most people think you're an 11-year-old kid. Like, that's just a normal thing. But
that's right. Yeah.
We don't actually put 2 and 2 together. And sometimes when we come home, now that I have a child, I understand this. But if you come home and you say, oh, I'm just sick and I don't want to go to school, you don't really think much more into that. You just think that the child is sick.
Right.
And anyways, I was afraid to go to school. I was afraid to be in that experience. And the final experience for me with my bully was that we were finishing up the end of the day and the doorbell, like the bell rang for you to go. And I was at the top of the stairs in it was a 2-level school. And I was at the top of the stairs and I hear him coming. And he pushes me down the first flight of stairs. And then he picks me back up and I try to run away. I mean, I was good at running away before. I thought that maybe that would be enough. He picked me up and then he threw me down the second flight of stairs and he smashed my head against the brick wall. In the school that we lived in, it was very old. The inside of the school was brick. There was no fancy dancy schools like you see in some certain rich areas now. It was very old. And the way that I had to turn to get out, there was these a stainless steel door. I don't know if you guys remember your elementary school, but it was a stainless steel door with a big glass piece in the center. And I could see my mom. She was there with all her daycare kids. And this kid who was the exact same age as me, I was 11 years old, He holds a knife to my throat and a gun to my head.
Take your time.
And he said that my mom was going to watch him kill me that day. And as an 11-year-old child, experiencing something like that, I was so fearful of so many things, not only like my entire life flashed before my eyes, but my mind, I feel as a young child sometimes, was like an older soul. And I went to, in those moments, I'm not going to get my driver's license. I'm not going to get to watch me and my sister grow up. I'm not going to have these memories. I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to have the ability to be a mom. Those are real life things to hope and be grateful enough that we get to experience that as human beings on this earth. I didn't know I was going to get to experience those things then. And through that experience, he just released his hands. And I will get to that, why that happened. But I figured this out probably about 12 years after how this experience happened. So as soon as that experience, like he just left, I don't remember much after this. And what I have found and have learned through spiritual healers, through counselors, through hypnotherapy counselors, naturopaths, like I have so many people in my corner helping me through these experiences and to heal and to share these experiences so that people also know that the things that they have gone through isn't something small, whether it's something, you know, through losing your keys or if it's losing a child. No matter where it is on the spectrum, don't ever compare your story. Don't ever compare, oh, mine is not as bad as hers, so I don't deserve the space or time to share. That's not what I'm trying to express here. I'm trying to make sure that you are aware. If your story is less as mine, if you think that it's less as mine, it's not. It's your own experience. So through me sharing, I hope that you can feel that your voice matters. But through that experience, though, I don't remember a lot. And when I went into sharing why I have all of these healers, I learned that when you go through a traumatic experience, it is our body's own protection to sometimes block out memories because it's too traumatic to remember. I didn't understand that then, but I understand it now. And I don't remember certain situations after, but I do remember the conversation with my principal at the school. And prior to this, I would be frustrated. I would be angry because I was dealing with these emotions because I wish that it was dealt with different from the principal's perspective. But again, we can't change these certain events and we can't change the way people respond or react to things. But the next words out of her mouth when my mom and I went to the principal's office to explain this situation, she had said that the child comes from a rough area and a rough family, and this is how he has expressed love. This is how he shows love. This is how he acts and treats the closest people to him. And it was interesting to hear that because she had said next was that I get to decide what happens to him. I get to decide if I decide to press charges. I get to decide if his family finds out. I get to decide. I mean, I can't even believe I have to say these things, but I was 11 years old, and I can't believe I was the one that was having to decide all of these things. So through that, my decision was that I didn't want to face him anymore, so I never pressed charges. My mom made sure that he was no longer able to set foot on the premises while I was in school, and he was transferred. I finished my school year, and the house went up for my childhood house went up for sale. I don't remember anything else from that point. I don't remember any other memories. I just remember my parents putting their house up for sale and being so upset and heartbroken that I was leaving the place that I knew most, even though it created so many negative experiences. But again, there was a lot of positive from there as well. And it's an interesting journey healing. I have done the most healing since having my son. And I believe children, if anybody ever gets the experience to raise children or be around children, they will mirror the very things that we have to work on ourselves, because it's not actually their thing that they're doing to us that frustrates us. It's the way that we feel about how we are parenting them that frustrates us. And through doing that and watching my son, I wanted to become the best version of me. So I embarked in this healing journey about 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that I've learned from those experiences is great. But that was just from 11, like born to 11 years old. Then when we moved to this newer area in, it was a country. It was close to Alliston, Ontario. It's actually Beaton, Ontario. I just always say Allison because nobody knows where Beaton is.
I know where Beaton is.
Yes, we found that out through the connection when we were talking the other day. But I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I loved being in very different ethnic backgrounds. I loved the culture that was in the city. I absolutely loved it. When I moved to Beaton, there was not really a lot of culture there. It was just everybody was the same. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It was very quiet. I mean, if you guys have ever grown up or even been to Scarborough now, you don't really conversate with people. You just look where you're going, you get to where you need to be, and that's kind of really it. That was what I was taught. So when we moved to Beaton, this space was so different. Everybody was like saying hello, walking down the neighborhood, and like, just having conversations. And as an 11-year-old child, I was so confused. How is it that you get taught to be one way and then you move to this other place and you're like, okay, you can be friendly? It was very confusing to me. So I learned a lot in this space. I grew up in this environment now. And I had many life-changing experiences here as well. And I think that every single one of them has made me who I am today. But one of the other tragic experiences that I had been a part of was I loved to go fast on any motor vehicle, any type of thing. I loved the energy and adrenaline rush that I would get.
You had the need for speed.
I did. And nobody could tell me different. And in the country where we lived, there was not a lot of cops because, I mean, it's impossible to monitor these black roads with no lights. It was very difficult. So they spent a lot of their time in the city or the bigger lit up areas.
Right.
Anyway, so we knew that. As the country kids, we knew that. And that did not stop my heavy foot. And I wish it did, but it didn't. And that being said, there was also a lot of other kids that had this need for speed or felt that they were invincible. I mean, I was 17 years old at the time.
Of course.
And sometimes we believe that nothing can harm us and that we are invincible. And this was one of those very moments. But prior to this incident happening, there was a lot of other kids that had tried or they thought that they were invincible and their lives were taken. And this area that we lived in lost a very big amount of people. And may their beautiful souls rest in peace. But through knowing that and experiencing that, and then I was the cause of my own car accident, it was very difficult to move through that. I was racing with one of my girlfriends on a dirt road. Prior to that, it was a paved road. And we came to a stop sign, and there was a gravel road on the other side. And she calls me and she says, Nicole, we can race on a paved road, but don't be stupid and race on a gravel road. And that need for adrenaline within was like, haha, see you at the end of the stop sign. And I stomped my gas pedal to the floor. The last time that I looked at my gauge, I was doing 120 on a gravel road. I tried to slow down because I could feel the car kind of like losing control. And I hit a pothole. And when I hit a pothole, my car kind of veered to the left and I was seeing this massive telephone pole. And I overcorrected to the right and hit another pothole. And I flipped my car 7 or 8 times.
Holy shit.
What stopped me was a massive tree. I hit a tree. I ended up in a ditch. It was a massive ditch. Guys, I cannot explain to you how massive these ditches are. The whole car could fit in the ditch. So what happened after was I did not know that I flipped. I obviously felt the movements, but I didn't know I was actually upside down when I hit the ditch. And what it created me to know that was I had a little circle ball on my keychain. And when you hit it, it lit up. And when I looked at it, because obviously it was hitting the dash, when I looked at it, it was actually hanging upside down. So I'm like, holy fuck. Where is my friend, first of all? Because again, it was at 10:30 or 11:30 at night. So if you've ever lived in the country before, there's no street lights. There's no nothing. It is black. Black, yeah, black. It can be. And anyways, I turned around and I thought that my friend had left because it was so black. Again, I didn't know I was upside down. Then when I looked at my keychain, I realized I was upside down. And I took off my seatbelt. And when I took off my seatbelt, the car was filling up with water. And I'm like, holy fuck. How am I going to get out of this car? I loved rap music. Okay. Growing up in the ghetto, you had to like, it was within your blood. Okay.
Of course.
The Lil Wayne CD had just dropped like a couple months before, so it was blasting. I had a $2,000 stereo system in my car. It was like you were in a club sitting in the car. The music was blasted. I remember the passenger side window was down. And again, like those blackout moments, I don't remember how I got out. I wish I could, but I don't. I just remember touching the water and just sheer panic. I remember standing on the side of the road and not knowing if I was alone, if I had passed. I really thought I had passed. Like I really thought I was dead. I'm like, I am not experiencing this in my physical body. What's happening? And then I saw a light, a car light. And I'm like, that car is driving a little bit slow. Maybe it's one of my girlfriends that I was with. So she comes up and then all of a sudden my stereo dies. My lights on my car go black. And I'm just standing in this blackness. Almost as if I don't know if you guys play video games. I don't play video games, but my husband plays video games. Almost as if your body gets dropped and you're like, okay, I got to just figure this out now. It was that experience. And my girlfriend rolled up and she said, get in the car. We have to go to your mom and dad's. And I remember hearing these stories of moms having cars flip on their children or something. And the mom going up and believing that she has this strength within her to lift this vehicle up.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
I experienced that because I was scared shitless about what my parents were going to say and how I was going to be dealt with because of this experience. So I walked over to my vehicle and I truly believed I could lift it out of the ditch and just drive it home. As I'm walking to the ditch, my friend pulls me back. She's like, Nicole, what the heck are you doing? You're crazy. Get in the car. And she was driving about 30 kilometers on the dirt road and I had a sheer panic attack. I couldn't breathe. The window had to be down. I'm like, I'm just going to walk home. Guys, I'm going to share. There was 2 stop signs. You had to turn left once and a right. And my parents' driveway was right there. I was less than 3 minutes from home. And when we pulled up into the driveway, my mom was always, we're all Newfie. I don't know if this is just like not a Newfie thing or not. I don't know. But any Newfie that I know, their mom always waits up for the children to know. It is just, I don't know if it's outside of regular, I don't know. But every single Newfie mom that I know waits up for their child and they will not go to bed until the child is home. So my mom is sitting there talking to one of my aunts. I walk in the door. I had hay, like cornfield bits all over me. I was soaking wet. My mom's like, Nicole, where's your car? I'm like, Mom, my car is actually, please don't get mad. Please don't get mad. That's all I remember saying to her. Please don't get mad. And she's like, Nicole, where's your car? And why is your friend here with her hands like this and the steering wheel? And I said, Mom, my car is at 5892. There was like green signs at the bottom of the driveways. That's the only way I knew how to find the car. So I'm like, 5892. It's at the house 5892. There's a big tree. So we get in the car. This part chokes me up, so I'm going to try not to cry. The only way I know that I split 7 or 8 times is because the person who owned the farm came out to my mom and dad's vehicle and he said, do you know the person that's in the vehicle? There was no way they survived. I watched their vehicle flip 7 or 8 times and come up solid against the tree. There is no way that person survived. Sitting in the back seat, alive, hearing that. He was so for sure. My parents were trying to like stop him from saying this, and he was so certain that the person never lived through that. So my mom and dad owned a van at the time. I opened the sliding door, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, I am the one that crashed this vehicle. Please don't call the police. We will get the vehicle. We'll bring it home. And I am so grateful. Thank you for your patience, your understanding. But I'm okay." His look of his eyes was like he's seen a ghost.
Okay, but sorry, Nicole, nothing happened to you? Not a scratch?
I had a bruise on my right knee from hitting the steering wheel. That's it.
Girl, somebody was watching out for you, eh?
Okay, so later, like how I told you guys about the attack, okay? This experience as well. It was like somebody was holding me. I mean, I'm gonna sound crazy saying this. It's in my book. I can tell you this is the honest truth. It was like somebody was holding me, and it was like somebody was saying, or like it was just this energy of protection. It was the weirdest thing for me to have experienced. And they removed the vehicle out of the ditch, and my neighbor was a tow truck driver for York Region. And when he showed up to the vehicle, he said, "Nicole, your doors are completely pinned in this ditch. How the hell did you get out?" He's like, "I have walked up on crashes that are half as bad as this, and the person does not make it out alive. How did you survive?" So I shared earlier about how so many people had passed away in either previous accident. This caused a lot of internal confusion. It caused a lot of internal struggle because I was frustrated that I caused my own accident and somebody else prior was doing no harm, no wrong, and they didn't make it out. So what the hell was my purpose?
Right.
It caused
And
a lot
you were
of
what, 17, Nicole, at the
I was
time?
17 years old. 17 years old.
Jeez.
I never spoke about this. And guys, this is what I'm saying. I never had these conversations before. I was embarrassed. I was shamed. I thought that the things that I've gone through, that they were normal. I didn't think that there was a reason to talk about it. And then I'm just going to share afterwards, when the car got out of the ditch and my parents brought it home, they tarped it. They were going to bring it to the dump, or like give it to the people for kidney. I can't remember if it was donated to the Kidney Foundation. I don't know if they brought it to the dump. I can't really remember. But when the next morning happened, it actually took me forever to fall asleep because I believed that when I hugged and kissed my family that I was going to pass in my sleep. I don't know why I felt that way. I just thought it was too good to be true for me to live and make it through it. Anyways, the next day came. My mom knew in her heart that I was racing. She knew I was going too fast. And she did this with so much love in her heart because I probably would have done the exact same thing with Wyatt if he'd had done this to me. But she brought me out to the vehicle. She said, "You are going to look at this because next time you may not be so lucky." So they untarped the car. Every single window was smashed except my driver's side window. The front tire on the passenger side was completely gone. The side mirror was gone on the passenger side. The back window was smashed. The actual back seat went out the back window. It went out the back window. Now I'm going to get to the spiritual stuff, okay? But prior to that, the front window smashed. And then if you looked inside the passenger side window, there was a complete circle around my head, and every other part of the roof was collapsed in. I have a picture of it. Maybe I'll post it on my Instagram. I don't know. But I do have a picture of it. And I keep it in every vehicle outside of prior to having my son because I want to be reminded of how lucky I am to live this life. And how grateful I am every single day. Yes, there's busyness of the day, but I also feel very grateful during those times to be here experiencing this human experience, no matter what hardships continue to come. But that being said, we also had a lot of spirits in our family, okay, in our home. I don't know if you guys are believers of this. You're going to think I'm crazy. You're going to think she's drinking that woo-woo drink. I don't know what you're going to think about this,
She's
okay?
drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, okay. Okay. We used to have a lot of spirits. I share the entire thing in that one chapter of my book. Some people are afraid to read it, whatever it is, what it is, but there's lessons in the end. And I'm going to share a couple of them. So with my attack, I actually learned about 12 years later that there was this spirit guides, spirit energies around us. And the one spirit was an 11-year-old girl who was murdered by a guy. She was stabbed and she was shot at 11 years old. So I find it interesting that she had chosen me to protect, because that exact incident happened, but I didn't have the death part of it. And what came of it was that she was there who protected me that day, and she took control over the young man. Now, it sounds crazy saying this out loud, guys, okay? But that was told to me. The medium also said to me that she asked if I was in a really bad car accident and if I felt some form of protection that day. And clearly I did. And she said that your spirit guides, this little girl, was the one that protected you from this experience. And if you had anything that she needed to protect you with going forward, that she would be there even if we passed her on to the light. I can't explain what it felt like being told that. I felt comfort, but I also was terrified, that knowing that there were so many spirits around us at all times. But it was a transformational journey, healing from these things. And about 8 years ago, we moved from Ontario to Alberta. So that's where I live now, Cochrane, Alberta, Canada. And my next traumatic thing that I kind of experienced through this, like you said, this human experience, was my journey to becoming a mom. And my journey to becoming a mom was very difficult. To anybody who is struggling with becoming pregnant, anybody going that IVF route, IUI, adoption, trying to be parents, whatever it may be, keep going, don't give up. Because if I did, I wouldn't get to experience these beautiful moments with my son. It was 5 years of me trying to have a child. I had 2 losses in between having Wyatt. And it is a experience. I don't really know how else to say it. It's like a shattering experience, losing a child in pregnancy. Because you get excited. We are human beings. We get excited. We look forward to what is to come. We tell people, we go into the store and we buy the cute little outfit. And I bought these little dirt bike gloves the first time I ever told my husband that he was going to be a dad. And I kept them. It was like 8 years. And my son just wore them before his 3rd birthday. And to have experienced some little hands filling those dirt bike gloves, I'm telling you, if you are fighting this path, if you're fighting this journey, keep going, because it is so worth it. I would do it all over again. Maybe not the losses, the physical loss of the pregnancy. Unfortunately, I did see all of that. It was a mistake on the doctor's side, but it was very tragic. It was very tragic. But
Nicole, can I show you something?
Yeah.
This is the picture of my little boy tying his belt for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
This is little Leo tying his jiu-jitsu belt. So I feel you, girl, with the motorcycle gloves. This was a proud daddy moment.
Yes. You will never forget that experience.
Never.
No. You will never.
No.
But I share all of those things. And like I said, I am grateful for each and every one of those things that happened. There was lots of other things in between. But the journey of what it takes to become a healed human being, the time that it takes, is never wasted time.
No, however, I want to ask you something, because I want to take this opportunity to start asking a question about this journey that you have. I'm happy you said that. What I thought you were going to say was the time that it's taken you to heal, although not a waste of time, but most people that I know, how can I put this? Don't do the journey because it's too long and too painful.
Yeah. Do you know what a client of mine said? I'm an esthetician by trade. Do you know what a client said when I was practicing telling people before my book came out? And I was testing the waters because of the shame, because of the guilt, because of my story. I didn't think that when I was in grade 11 English, my teacher told me that my writing skills was that of a fifth grader and I should never pick up writing in the near future. I had a lot of limiting beliefs in telling my story, so I was practicing telling certain people. You know what my client said to me? She said, Nicole, how are you not a drunk or an alcoholic? Or how are you not a drunk or a drug addict?
Right.
And I said to her, if you would have given me a bottle of whiskey when I was 21 years old, I probably would have drank it. But through healing, this has been the hardest fucking journey of my life, healing, okay? All of those things, I would go through all of those things again versus this healing aspect of it. And I say that because those things to me felt easy. I mean, of course, there was tragic. It wasn't that it was easy, but I'm saying, but the journey through healing myself is the absolute hardest thing I have ever done. It is difficult to sit with you as a human being and figure out that you were the reason you didn't get this, XYZ. You were the reason why this roadblock keeps popping up. You were the reason why you can't communicate. You were the reason why you can't trust. You were the reason why you have, this fear of loss, this fear of, I don't know how to explain. I don't know even know how to really bring it into words. But through the experience of healing, I have realized, and I share this in my book as well, it's like a connect the dot image. If I was to draw a dot for every single, to make an image of a star, if you didn't have each and every experience, then it wouldn't create who you are today.
You couldn't complete the drawing of the star.
It couldn't complete the drawing. It couldn't complete the visual image. So through going through, for example, my attack, if we didn't move to Beaton, I wouldn't have my husband. I wouldn't have met him through high school. I wouldn't have my son that I have today. My sister would not have her husband that she has today because he's her high school sweetheart as well. When you understand that life has come full circle, what is the reason to drink or use drugs? There's peace found knowing that everything has happened to you to create the person you are today. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. This is why I shared everything, every feeling, every emotion. People who have read this book have said to me that they've read it within like less than 2 days because they can't put it down. But I didn't first write my draft like that. I wrote it protecting in a sense of, oh, I shouldn't put this there. Somebody's going to find out about that. So sometimes I find we tend to hold ourselves back when sharing our story, and just be your most authentic self, because the power and lessons that I've learned and the power of sharing that and the space that it creates for people around you that you may have not known before, it creates this space, like you said in the beginning, about shining your light, and your voice matters. Like it's just, there's so much power in showing up as our most authentic self. And I actually remember you saying, when you told me about the purpose that you created this TV show, was to have people, whether they have been doctors, lawyers, whatever, in their career, they may have not felt fulfilled. So they turn to this passion, they turn to this, whether it didn't always make them the same amount of money, it made them feel like they were making a difference. Whole, exactly.
Yeah.
And if I could just say, like, if you didn't hear anything else other than this, becoming whole, whether it takes you 21 years to heal or your entire lifetime, do not wait until you get to be 104. I had a conversation with a 104-year-old woman. She said to me she was going to die with the things that she went through because it was too painful to heal. You own it to you as a human being to live your life with its fullest potential, not a half-ass, I'm going to hide, I'm going to put my shit under the rug, the dirt under the rug. Not that. That's not living.
Yeah. Or
right?
numb the pain.
Or numb the pain with some sort of substance or whatever you may think that you need.
My question, Nicole, because I'm fascinated by this, because these are some pretty serious stories. These are not like regular folk stories. These are pretty serious stories. So the question is, you had all these experiences. You've gone through this experience in becoming a mother. Was there a quantum moment that happened that you said, now's my time to heal? And what did you do to get started? Because what I'd like to share with the listeners is how how does one get started healing when one goes through a whole lot of shit? What
Yeah.
was the starting point for you?
The starting point for me was that I didn't want to deal with this anymore. When we moved to Alberta, I was no longer around my parents. I was around whoever new person I met. I got to become this new version of me because nobody knew the past version. Okay. It was through doing that that I understood when I was around people, I was this happy go lucky, smiling person. When I was by myself, and I put this in my book as well, when I was by myself, I realized I was the one blowing my own light within. I was the only one blowing it out. I was there shining when I needed to, but when I was by myself, I was this dark person. You get to a point in your life where you realize you're just tired. You're tired of showing up as that person. It was this moment of understanding that people's life isn't actually normal to live like this. It's not normal, the things I went through. It wasn't normal to experience some of these traumatic experiences as such a young child. So I dig deep within. But guys, I got to be so honest. I did not do this alone. I did not do it alone. I found spiritual healers. I found people who did Reiki. I found people who connected with spirits. I found peace knowing that I was worth working on. I was worth working on. And a couple of the, sorry, somebody's trying to call me. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. A couple of the quotes that got me through was that the darkness cannot shine, or the stars cannot shine without darkness. That was one of the biggest ones. Okay. And I continue to remember that. So I found spiritual healers. I spoke with people. The first time my sister ever experienced and was aware of some of these things that I've gone through was when we moved to Alberta. And it's just through understanding that you don't want to be that way anymore. And I know I keep saying that, but it's the honest truth. I didn't want to be like that. When I would have conversations with people that I would meet, or for example, I would go into a treatment room. I was a medical esthetician when I first moved here. So I did laser treatments, hair removal, all of that. If I was in a room with just a male, as soon as that door shut, I didn't know it then, I know it now, but I struggled with a lot of PTSD. And I'm like, I don't want to live this way anymore. If I go on a gravel road with a vehicle, the window has to be down, and I cannot drive very fast. I hear the wheel, I hear the rocks hitting the side of the car. I hear, the slightest little bit of movement from the vehicle moving, PTSD. That is not a way to live. That is not a way to live. I'm living a half-assed life with something in this universe, God, whatever you believe in, didn't take me from those two experiences, never mind the other ones that I experienced. So I leaned into understanding that there may have been a purpose for me living on this earth. So I was I invested so much energy into just becoming the best me. So how I did that was I went to those spiritual healers. I went to, say, massage therapists to heal my physical body. Because what I learned was that pain on the physical body is actually something in the mind, an uneasiness, or one of the teachers that I learned, it's called dis-ease. So not disease, break it into two words, dis-ease. The mind is at dis-ease. And it shows up in the physical body. I was aware, I learned this, guys. I became a teacher, or I became a student, and the teacher just arrived. I created this community of people that could heal me, teach me the ways that I could learn. I learned about journaling. I learned about manifestation. I opened myself up and went to a 6-month course. It was like $10,000 I paid for the course. Changed my entire life. When you were saying, I wrote a bunch of notes, and I even wrote "wow" a whole bunch of times on my page when you were talking earlier, because when you said that when we have conversations with people and we start talking. We usually talk about the things we don't like. So what happens? We bring more of those things that we don't like in our life because we're spending so much energy and time into thinking of the things we don't want. When I learned the words, what you think about, you bring about, that changed my life. So now I journal. It sounds so crazy, Kate. If I could show you my stack of books, my husband always gets so frustrated because when he sits on the fun part of the couch, these books just fall over. But there's a massive stack of books, and it is journal upon journal upon journal. And there's different journals for different things. So I learned to journal about the things that I wanted to create. You said in the beginning that you wrote down about the things that you want to manifest within the 2 weeks. There is power in that. Some people are like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. They're like, no, I'm not going to do that. They're not going to make time. Okay, so then just be okay knowing that the things that you have in your life right now are going to be there, and it's going to take you longer to manifest the things because you don't believe in the little tiny step it takes to change your mindset. Right? So when I learned those things, I realized I also had a spiritual healer connect me with a massage therapist, and it was through that massage therapist that I really learned the things that I'm thinking shows up in the physical body. I've said that so many times. I had pain in certain areas where I never had any tension. And what she referred me to was a cranial sacral massage therapist. It's called a cranial sacral massage therapist. I had no idea what this was before. And what it means is that when you're going through healing, those memory cells that formed from those traumatic experiences, like I said, I'm 31 now, so 21 years from healing from some of those experiences. Those memory cells create our organs. They turn into us, okay? So when we go back into those memories, you're activating those memory cells that have trauma. So it causes your nerves in your brain to be kind of like triggered, your nerve cells or your nerve endings. And with that being said, that can sometimes make our spinal fluid go a little crazy. And again, I'm going to sound boo-boo here, but I didn't know about this prior to like a year ago. And what I found out is that when you're healing, you need to kind of calm down that spinal fluid to create no pain. Guys, I went to 3 sessions and I have no physical pain in my body anymore. I cannot express enough into this healing journey of how it literally creates us to be the best human being it is for ourselves. But it's through trying things that you may have never given the opportunity before, or you may have just turned a shy eye or a cold shoulder at. You just have to try whatever feels right for you. And I didn't really know what that was. I just leaned into people who had what I wanted, were grounded in knowing who they were. Their energy was calm. They knew who they were. They were okay with telling their story. I found mentors and people who were on that journey, and I just asked them for help. There's no harm in asking people for help. And then
even that's a big step, Nicole.
Yes.
Just asking for help is a big step.
Yeah. One of the other things that I would share with anybody is the biggest step towards healing, or knowing you need to go on a healing journey, is awareness. Awareness is your, like, the tool you want to have in your right pocket, because it is the awareness in knowing that you don't want blank XYZ anymore. And then through doing that schooling experience and meeting my spiritual healers and the people that I am so grateful for, it was through that experience that then my schooling experience came to into the works and like kind of came into my life. And yes, I fought it, because sometimes we fight our own things that are the best things for us, because I was intimidated, I was scared, but I did it. And then it was through that experience that I was introduced to somebody to share my motherhood journey in Collective Voices Lead with Love. And guys, this is what I'm telling you. When I say that you need to do the work, or you should do the work, it's never wasted time. It's because I've experienced it firsthand. I had a conversation with a total stranger when I shared my motherhood journey. She said that if it wasn't for reading my story in motherhood, that she would have chose to commit suicide. That she was going to commit suicide, and it was through reading my story that she decided not to. Okay, it still tears me up because this was a total stranger, and this is the power in what I'm telling you, and this is the power in what Mel's show is creating, is that our voices matter, our stories matter, and we have no idea the ripple effect that we're going to have on somebody else's life. So it was through
100%.
that experience of that total stranger messaging me that I decided my motherhood journey, yes, was difficult, but it is nothing compared to what I've actually been through. So I took the journey of writing my own book. I wrote the manuscript for me. If nobody else was to read it, that was fine. I wrote it for me. And when I shared this book, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I almost pulled the plug on this book twice because I thought those self-limiting beliefs were trying to come in. The universe did not align my launch to be the way that I wanted. I had COVID the week before. I actually had, no, it was actually the week of my launch. I was day 4 and I did my book launch with COVID. I had a thing full of Kleenex, like my nose was running. Oh my gosh, it was not a beautiful sight. But through those things not aligning perfectly, those limiting beliefs were fed that my story didn't matter. I shouldn't tell my story. Shame was fed, fear, this lack of trust. I thought maybe somebody was going to take my story and flip it, use it against me, all of those things. But it was through publishing this book even more that I am aware of how much space one can create by sharing and being their most authentic self and being vulnerable and crying on live TV show. Oh my gosh. It's through doing that, like I said, I sound like a broken record, but it is so important. It's so important. It creates this space. People have messaged and said, they've been through something similar. They've never spoken to anybody in their family about it. They thought they were going to die with these stories too. And I'm like, no, like, just do it. Just take that leap of faith. Jump in to that freezing cold water and just have somebody there. But the biggest piece I want to just share before we go on, you cannot heal alone. You cannot heal alone. You need to find your people. If you want to start on a healing journey, you need to tell your people that you're going to do it, because there's going to be dark days. And if you do it by yourself, who the heck is going to pick you up out of those dark days? Who's going to do it? Nobody, because they don't know that you're doing it. So share with your biggest supportive people that you are embarking on a healing journey. Reach out to me if you want. I will be your guide. I can help you. And just continue following people like Mel, who, it's so crazy. I got woken up into the middle of the night, okay? I got woken up into the middle of the night last night, and I wrote this on my phone. I don't even have the phone here. But I thought of this, and I'm just going to share. When I had my son, the hardest part about raising him and starting this healing journey was that I wanted to become my best self, because I knew how hard the world was. I knew how difficult life experiences could be. I wrote my book for this one purpose. It's dedicated to my son. I wrote it because I never always had the conversations with the people maybe when I should have had them about my healing journey at the time that I could have been beneficial, because of the fears and hesitations and stuff that I had in my life. I hope that I can, of course, have these conversations with my son. But if the universe, God, has a better plan for me and I leave this earth too soon, I wrote this book so that I could guide him through whatever he went through.
Love it.
That being said,
So beautiful.
Though, it is people like you, Mel, that make me feel grounded in understanding that the world can be a brighter place because of the thing that you want to do with this beautiful show that you're hosting here. The stories that you share, the people that you have on here, it is absolutely, like, it's absolutely incredible. And I just wanted to thank you for this space, for the time that we have shared today. And my son is going to be having a lighter world because of people like you. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
I think that it's very true. Everything you've said is at its core, at its basic foundation, is the things that we have to do in order to heal,
Yeah.
in order to get through some of the challenges and trials and tribulations we've experienced in life.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I'm grateful to Josh, because he was the one that said, "No, you need to be on something. Like
Yeah.
you have this ability to get people to really open up." And
Yeah.
create a space for people to open up, and it's true. I think everybody's got a story. What
Yeah.
I did was I made it very specific in that I want it to be a story of some sort of passion or some sort of transformation. And in that transformation, of course, comes lots of healing. But I want to recap a little bit, Nicole, here, because I think that if people had to come and sort of get a brief synopsis of what you went through and the healing process that you went through, you talked about that you can't do this alone.
Yeah.
So that's key. So if someone's listening and they're struggling, don't do it alone. Reach
Yeah.
out. Reach out to somebody that you care about. Reach out to anybody who will listen.
Yeah.
Number two, you talked about trying things that you normally wouldn't try. And of course, I always say that's there was a wonderful meme that said there's a circle here and it's big like this and it's called the comfort zone. And then there's a little tiny circle over here and it says this is where the magic happens.
Yes.
When you get outside of that comfort zone. And in order to feel that, you have to do some things that you're not, for example, used to doing. For me, it was receiving something called a DNA life activation from an orthopedic surgeon who was from South Africa, and my life was in the dumps, and I just said, "Fuck, I'll fucking do anything. It doesn't matter what you call it. I don't even know what the fuck it is that you're doing, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because I'm willing to do it." The challenge is once you heal, or as you're healing, that you continue, that you don't wait for something traumatic to happen again for you to go back and heal again. And this is the difficult part. We said this in martial arts, in fitness, as a personal trainer. We said it's easy to lose the weight, but it's tough to keep it.
Yeah.
It's tough to keep it like that. And this is the difficult thing. And this is why, Nicole, I think your story needs to be heard, because you went through some traumatic things.
Yeah.
But you took the initiative to say, I don't want to be that person anymore, especially now that I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I want to provide the best version of myself so that my son gets to experience the true me. And I talk about this in every show, the difference between individuality and personality. The individuality that comes from Holy Spirit, that comes from Spirit, and the personality, the masks that we wear so that people can look at us a particular way.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that you've gone outside of your comfort zone. Craniosacral head massage. Most people don't. I know what it is. I've had one personally. It's fabulous.
Yeah. To be honest, I thought that I was just blowing my $100 out the window. Like I honestly did. I'm like, what am I doing here?
That's right.
It's crazy. But I think also one of the things I just wanted to add when you said that was nobody else can heal except you. Like nobody can do the job for you. As an entrepreneur, it's the same thing. It's the same mindset. Nobody's going to sit here and call the thing or do the thing or book the thing or reach out to the thing. You have to do it. So if you're thinking that by having that support, they're going to do the work for you, they're not. It's just that they are there to help you when the time gets difficult.
Yeah, to help you facilitate the healing.
Yes.
But the healing comes from you.
Yes. And one of the other things when you were saying, how do you continue to heal instead of like keeping the weight, like getting rid of the weight and then keeping it off, is that I have come to understand that everything that the universe, God, whatever puts in our path is meant to grow us. I've done a lot of shadow work. I don't know if anybody knows of shadow work, but a lot of shadow work in sitting, understanding why you feel a certain way, and then going deep within. So that's how I get through the things I'm going through now, is the shadow work aspect of it.
Explain that a little bit more. Explain a little deeper. The shadow work.
So shadow work, for example, it's really helped with my PTSD. So say, for example, if I'm out driving a vehicle, I shared this one experience in my book as well, but we were camping and I drove down the gravel road to get there. My husband drove home. When I'm in the driver's seat of driving a vehicle and I go down a gravel road, I'm a little less, nervous. When somebody else is in the driver's seat, I feel like I could totally lose my control. When that happened, I had a PTSD anxiety attack. I kept my kind of composure, I guess you want to say, because my son was in the backseat. But then a couple days later, I had this like some form of vertigo, and then I researched it, and it comes from PTSD, panic attack, anxiety, overload in the body. So what I was told to do is to understand what caused that emotion, what caused that panic, what caused the trigger, go inwards with it, and understand, almost like you're talking to your younger version of you, and remind yourself that you're not actually in this traumatic experience. Your feelings are valid for experiencing or feeling those things when you were experiencing that situation, but you're safe, you're grounded, you know how to deal with it, and then pivot the thought. Understand where that dark shadow, that's why it's called shadow work, came from, and understand that that's not how you have to show up. That's not how the situation is. It doesn't have to be those things. And just try to become better. Just try to become better.
Yeah. Well, I love that because I wrote a blog, my latest blog, which is, I guess, a couple of months ago now, but the blog was called Crumel Electrician. And it was a series that I wanted to do that, and I think my next one is Crumel Chartered Accountant. But I wrote these, I want to write these series of blogs with the various, positions or industries or careers that people have, and use it as an analogy to life. So I called one Crumel TV repair guy, and I spoke about how in the old days you didn't have a remote to change channel. You had to get up and change the channel and the various buttons that were on, and that the buttons represent our life. The contrast button, the balance button, the volume button, and what they represent for life. So in the case of Crumel Electrician, I spoke exactly of that. That we do a wonderful job of covering up or numbing the experience that we feel.
Yes.
And of course, I joked and I said we fill it with McDonald's and Pornhub. And I said, what's interesting is that when an electrician comes to look at a socket that you plug something in and it started to spark, so there's a problem with that socket, that the electrician comes and he looks and he sees if the wires are connected correctly, but if it's fine there, that he has to follow the line back to the fuse box. And for us, the fuse box is represented by our heart. And so if we can go deep to where the issue comes from, instead of covering up with McDonald's and Pornhub, we can get to the root of the problem and then solve why we're feeling this pain, why this spark is there. And I call that, you call it, the shadow work.
Yeah. Yeah. There's actually one metaphor I share in the end of my book. And it's called the cloth experience, and I'll leave it as visual too. But envision you have like two cloths that are filled up with water. Okay, as those cloths are filling up with water, you can think of it as like the things that we've been through, the traumas, the life experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it in between. So there's two ways to get the cloths to be dried. Okay, it sounds silly, but just listen here and just kind of like experience that. Just envision you doing it. But these two cloths are filling up with water. And in order to do that personal growth, that healing work, all of that, envision you having to squeeze that base cloth to wring the water out. Okay. You eventually want two dry cloths. Eventually, if you just take this one and just huck it over there on the side of the bathtub, cloth will eventually be dry. That's a person, like you said, eating McDonald's and being on Pornhub. Okay. Versus the person who really wants to go into dealing with, healing, and that you really have to squeeze that cloth to be dried, but to release all of that added weight and the pressures of our own selves that we put on ourselves, to release that. So it's not to say that there's one better way or the other. It just is whatever journey somebody wants to embark on. But eventually those two cloths will be dry. Eventually the one that's just soaked up will eventually dry. But if you do a little bit of the hard work, that weight is released so much faster. That's one of the visuals I share in the one part of my book. But it's just, it takes a lot of work to do it. And some people are okay to just live that normal life of dealing with healing and pushing through. But some people, like I said, it's hard. Some people don't want to deal with it. They don't want to look inwards.
No, I mean, this is it, Nicole. My clients, the ones that are working with me, are those that are ready to step up and make some
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
You know, this is why I study things like choice theory and Dr. William Glasser's work, his psychology about and one of his axioms of choice theory is that I can't control. I can only control my own behavior. I can't control anybody else's. So if there's something that's occurring in my life or in one's life, the only thing that I can do is behave.
Yeah.
So how I behave to that situation is how I'm feeling. What's
Yeah.
coming out is the internal control system
Yeah.
balanced. And if it's not balanced, well, how we behave is in imbalance or is
Yeah.
not in alignment with who
Yeah.
we really are,
Yeah. Your true self.
the
Yeah.
true self. And of course, I have always described it if this is the path of you being born, we have life experiences, and the life experiences take us away
Yeah.
from the path that we're supposed to be on. So in order for us to get back to that path, we have to give up a lot of shit and go
Yeah.
through a lot of shit to get back to the path that we were supposed to be on. And this is the work that I would say many people don't want to do.
Yeah.
And it's you know why it's a shame? Because they're worth it.
Yeah. They are. Yeah.
They're worth it.
And it brings tears to my eyes because I almost didn't embark on this journey. I almost didn't do it because of how difficult it was. And I almost gave up many times. And this is why I'm understanding this. There's so much power in this. And I wish that somebody could look through my eyes for a minute when they say that they don't want to do it or they think it's too hard. I wish that they could see the peace, the calmness, the understanding, that alignment that you're talking about. How we get to
Yeah.
show up as our most authentic self. That would be my biggest wish for somebody.
Well, I always give martial arts examples. I'm a former fighter,
Yeah.
martial arts, Muay Thai, MMA teacher, and one of the examples that I used recently was the difficulty comes in. I want you to imagine, Nicole, that you're in a 5-round Muay Thai fight. If a girl comes into the ring and she knocks you down in the first round, well, there's still a lot of energy there. So maybe you can stand up, shake the cobwebs off and
Yeah.
continue to fight. But what
Yeah.
happens when you get knocked down in the 5th round? What happens when you get knocked down towards the end of the fight? Well, you may still have the energy to get up. What happens is you move forward a little slower. And
Mhm.
over the last little while, that's what I've been feeling.
Yeah.
I get up all the time. I've been knocked down in the course of the last 18 months more than I would wish on anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of feeling like I was moving slow. I was still fighting, but I was using my push kick a lot just to keep the person away. I gave all these analogies, and today I couldn't have asked for a better guest on
Oh,
my
thank you.
birthday to remind me and to remind everybody that's watching that this journey, as arduous as it is,
Mhm.
we have to keep on going.
Yeah.
We must keep on going because it's worth it.
And somebody
And
once said to me,
I just want to
forward
say, and
is,
you don't know what's around the corner.
yes.
What were you
And
going to
when you
say? Sorry
said,
for interrupting.
that's okay. Forward is forward, no matter the speed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, we used to say in metaphysical school, you're either progressing or you're regressing. So as
Yeah.
long as you're moving forward, even if it's at a snail's pace, you're moving forward.
Yes. And you're that much farther than the person who hasn't decided to heal. So also
Yeah.
sometimes we can compare and think of, these motivational speakers, Tony Robbins, all of that, and think, I could never be that. But how about you think about the person who hasn't started? You're way further than that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Nicole, really, what a wonderful, wonderful reminder. Really, I couldn't have worked out any better.
Thank you so much.
What an
Thank you for this
absolutely,
honor.
what a lovely pleasure. You are certainly a ray of sunshine.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you so much.
so wonderful to have you. As the show's been going on, your links have been coming up. Can you tell us, quickly, Nicole, what's next for you? What are you doing next? What's happening? Is there another book in the works? What's happening? What are you doing?
I know I've been asked that question so many times. So honestly, the that cathartic experience, like you were talking about, yes, I have experienced that just by being on the show, because this is my first time, like you said, publicly that I've ever done this. You need time to process these things. So what is coming next for me is in the fall, I'm going to be launching a podcast. Um, and it is so similar to what you want and what you're creating with this TV show. I want a space for people to feel heard, for their voices to know it matters, their story, their inspirational story, whatever it is. I want that to be my next project to share with the world. So
Do you know what it's going to be called?
Let's Get Inspired. Okay. It's called Let's Get Inspired.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's going to come. I'm thinking about creating something else as well. It's going to be launching in the fall. But as for another book, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But you can follow along with me on Instagram or Facebook. Nicole Recker's Journey on Instagram. If you want to follow my newest book, it's the Greater Plan book on Instagram. I'm mainly on Instagram, but I am on Facebook. Facebook is Nicole C. Recker. But follow along for the journey. And to anybody who is watching, if you don't have somebody to help you along your healing journey, I can help you just be that person, because you don't want to do it alone.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much, Mel, for this experience. Oh my gosh, this has been on my bucket list for so long. So thank you.
Super honored you chose the Coffee and Biscotti Show.
Thank you so much. And happy birthday. Have a great day.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm going to put you backstage. I'm going to give my final thoughts, and then the audience will get rated to another channel, and they'll be able to listen to some music or whatever to follow the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Another one in the books, baby. Another one in the books. What an awesome reminder. Don't heal alone. Try new things. Go for a healing. You don't know anybody? Call me. Talk to Nicole. We know lots of people. We've had lots of people on the show. Tanis Conklin, Debbie Tatel, Soul Tribe Healing. I mean, we've had so many on the show. D Hope was on the show. I mean, so many healers. It's really quite incredible how many healers. Can you tell that I'm into this kind of stuff, this woo-woo stuff? Because my joy is having these healers come on and talk a little bit about their stories and their transformation. Because here's the thing, my friends. Nobody wakes up and wants to do this shit. That's bullshit. Nobody wakes up and says, oh, I'm going to be a healer. That's what I wanted to do ever since I was a kid. No, they go through life, and life throws them a couple of wrenches, a couple of curveballs. They have their first love break their heart. They get into a car accident. They get divorced. They have miscarriages. All of these things happen in life. And then all of a sudden, when you're tired of being that person, when that trauma finally weighs too much, you say to yourself, I need to change. I'm ready. I am open to change. And that's what Nicole has done. And listen, to me, she's a young lady. And, what an absolute joy. What a ray of sunshine. I mean, you know what you need to do? You need to rewatch this, and you need to look into her eyes. You could see her soul through her eyes. I mean, just an absolute powerhouse of a light worker. So Make sure, my friends, that you go and you try something new. And remember to reach out, because there are a lot of people. I've got a lot of people that I'm thankful for. So I want to spend a minute thanking all of you that watch the show, that are fans of the show. Certainly a shout out to Franny and Vera. Thank you always for being here. Shout out to Sandra Mio for being my lifesaver in my life. I mean, what an absolute incredible human being. Sandra Mio, you are at the top of tops. And of course, to our beloved moderator of the show, Mr. Josh Leslie, you, my friend, are a gem, a diamond in the rough, if you will. Just love having you. Thank you so much for helping me, Josh. We are, I don't know how many episodes in of the Coffee and Biscotti show, but I'm grateful that you're here with me. And I'm still sad you're not coming to my party tonight, but we'll make it up, my friend. We'll make it up. Want to thank my mom, because she's an incredible lady. And as she sits in her little retirement home all alone at times, I struggle. I struggle with how much I can do and what I can do without having these kinds of things impede on my own life. Because I could spend every day with her and it still wouldn't be enough. I want to thank my son, my little boy Leonardo. You are the sunshine of my life. I could not have gone through the stuff that I've gone through over the last couple of years without you. I'm happy and I'm grateful that you chose me to be your dad. You are such an incredible little boy. Everybody who meets you, they look into your eyes and they say that you're filled with light. And I'm happy that every day I get to look into those bright little eyes of yours and I get to see your light. I'm so grateful for all the things I have, all the people that are in my life. I'm truly humbled. I think there's been over 250 messages and texts and Facebook posts. I mean, really, it's been, my phone was blowing up today, and I couldn't be more grateful for each and every one of you. So thank you, Mr. Josh. Where are we rating to my brother? Can we keep it a little lighter? Like I had a little bit of an emotional moment now, but I want the beats. Bring us to some beats, Josh. That's what we need to have today. And if we can find some Chicago house, let's do it, baby. Just want to say thank you again to all of you. We will be here next week, but I'm not going to tell you who's on the show. You know why? This way you have to come and watch it. So hopefully you will be with us here next week, live on the Coffee and Biscotti Show. Same time, 12 o'clock Eastern Daylight Savings Time, my friends. Chicago House Computing. I love it, Josh. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to Tuan for organizing tonight's event at Kiko Sushi. Can't wait, man. I can't wait. Love you, Franny. Love you, Vera. Thank you guys so much for being here. Josh, rate us away, brother. But this is Crew Mel getting ready to sign off another episode of the Coffee and Biscotti Show. Sending you all much love. Hope you have an awesome Friday. And as I always say, an awesomer weekend. Josh, take us away, brother. I don't even know if I should end the stream before you raid. I don't know, bro. That's your department, brother. We will wait for the official channel that we will raid too. I love that Josh said we're Chicago House computing. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Franny. Have a great rest of the day yourself. You guys made my day. Let me know what. Oh, there we go. See? Off to Germany for some Chicago-y house. Thank you, Poutine Nation. Thank you, Josh. We will see you there. See you next week. Peace.